it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. Let me tell you something about full moons. Kids don't care about full moons. They'll play in a full moon, no worries at all. No, they only get scared of magic or werewolves from stupid adults and their stupid stories. But what if? That's the question raised in tonight's story. The Wherewolf by Urban Playground 1. Well, whoever said no good deed goes unpunished was a cynical bastard, though it fits reality well. I definitely got messed up doing one. How? What's wrong with me? I don't know. I should be relaxed, but every time I close my eyes and then open them, it feels like I was moved into another room that looks exactly like this one. I should be comfortable and used to this place by now, but no. It feels like at any moment, while I'm not looking, something will change that I can't see, but I can feel. What the hell happened to me? Was it that thing? No, right. Let's start from the beginning. It started at the church, Our Lady of Hopeful Mercies. I looked into Father Dominic's tired brown eyes. They're not that different from mine. We just have other concerns stealing our sleep. Been friends since kindergarten. Life was somewhat good to us, and it was easy to keep in contact. Ian, I need your help, Father Anthony Dominic said. Well, my gut dropped. Oh yeah, this is not going to be fun. After the fried chicken incident, I learned to listen to my intuition. Guys call it their gut. Being a homicide detective for about 10 years, I got a feel for when assignments were okay, or when ones would resemble a roller coaster ride with no constraints and no bar to hold on to. The type of case that would use my sanity for toilet paper and give it back to me. Sorry, but I like not being crazy. Well, at least sane enough to be seen as highly functional. Late afternoon sunlight shone through the window, and it bathed Anthony in its glow as though the guy upstairs, the one I was unsure I believed in, was trying to convince me to do what he wanted me to do. Well, no promises, but tell me anyway, I said. Yeah, I was getting bad vibes. Now, I'm no psychic, but I was definitely not feeling comfortable. Then again, Anthony is a friend, and I can't say I'm his if I can't help him when he needs me. Anthony frowned. Yeah, I was real subtle. Should have been a bit more tactful. Did I tell you I don't exactly have a poker face? I understand that your caseload must reach to the ceiling of your office, and you're a homicide, not missing persons. So I'm not asking you to dive right in and solve the mystery. Well, just sniff around, and if you find something, pass it on to missing persons. It's their area, Anthony said. Well, for a moment, I felt relieved. Just do some poking around. What could go wrong? My unease was still bugging me, though. Probably the act of investigation could get me messed up or worse. Oh, can I reject this one in a way that won't hurt Anthony's feelings? No, I can't be a dirtbag. Gotta back my friends, or what am I? Ian? Anthony leaned in close and peered at me. Oh yeah, look, just give me the details. I'll forward them to missing persons, I said. Maybe I have a chance here? Anthony sighed. After hearing your stories about the job, I know there's little that missing persons can do. I, or you, need to find more info for them. It's all hearsay and anecdotes without real proof. Oh, crap. Well, I thought I could skip this one. All right, tell me what you have and I'll decide. Anthony nodded. He looked away like he was getting his mental notes ready. Are you familiar with Our Lady of Sorrow's homeless shelter? I nodded. He looked back at me. Well, every other week I go there and check the status of our guests in the shelter. As you know, it's the middle of winter, and there are usually a lot of the unhomed here. Well, for some reason, there wasn't that many people. I asked the director about the situation, and he replied that the shelter was in good shape, and it was just that, well, he had less guests coming in. Something about that didn't feel right to me. You know the feeling. I wanted to make sure that the guy wasn't hiding anything. Well, after pushing him a bit, he told me that there were vague rumors that something or someone was preying on the local unhomed. Well, my misgivings grew here. Another serial killer. The shelter was at the edge of a decaying industrial area, a relic from when the city was a manufacturing powerhouse. Blocks and blocks of abandoned warehouses and factories to hide in. Do you have something more definite, or maybe someone I can talk to? Maybe I'd be lucky, and there'd be little for me to do. Yeah, that sucks, but I'd rather be alive to regret than the alternative. Too bad I didn't get to bow out of this gracefully. Anthony shook his head. I'm sorry. Maybe that's not enough for you to work on. Maybe I can still get out of this. Look, please see what you can do, Anthony pleaded, and he locked his eyes on me again. I nodded and pushed down my misgivings. I'll see what I can do. Right, see you later, I said, and then stuck out my hand. Anthony gripped it and gave my hand a firm squeeze. May God bless and protect you. I left, and hoped that I wouldn't need that blessing. Yeah, well, that turned out all right. For a few moments, I just sat in my car as the people moved past me, and the late afternoon sunlight warmed my face. Time to do some thinking. Why was I so reluctant? Yes, my gut felt like this was going to be one messy situation, but on the other hand, I just want an oath to protect and serve, as well as wanting to help a friend. I am going to regret this, but I'm going to find out what's going on. Also going to keep my head on a swivel, as the soldiers in the movies say. With that kind of resolved, I drove to the shelter. I also decided if things look like I can't handle them, it's time to go. Hopefully it won't come to that. Yeah, right. The shelter was a 4-storied red brick building at the edge of the industrial district. It felt like a canyon with the buildings on both sides of the street. The dying sun shone down the middle. Since it was close to 5 p.m., people would be heading home and the area would be a dead zone. I got to think about that later as the setting sun covered everything in an orange glow like a dying candle. Maybe I should come back in the morning. No, if people need help now, it'll be too late by then. I sighed and then got out of my car and locked it. No one was hanging outside the shelter. I thought that was strange. I'd imagine that someone or someones would be standing around. Even if it wasn't a homeless shelter, people would be outside smoking and chatting. Our Lady of Sorrows had inspirational messages in the windows, and looked a bit shabby but not run down. I pulled the door open and walked inside. In front was a bunch of empty cots. Behind them was some more with a few people sitting or lying on them. Beyond was a bunch of tables and 2 guys talking. One guy was white with a name tag, and the other one was black and tall. He looked like a client, one of the unhomed, but he looked clean. I picked my way past the cots to eavesdrop, listen in to the conversation. Dude, you know the things ain't safe here, right? The black guy said. The white guy narrowed his eyes. Really? I've worked here for 5 years, and change. I know a dangerous hood, and this area isn't one. The black guy sighed. I haven't heard it. You know what? No, I haven't. Do you know what happened to everyone? Truth this time, and no ghost stories, the white guy said while frowning. Well, the black guy chuckled. This area is too messed up for ghosts. Really, Dale, you haven't heard anything strange when you go out alone on your smoke breaks? It's a strange howl that sounds like something from a TV show, but not quite. For a moment, fear flicked across Dale's face. Jackpot. I knew that I'd have to join this conversation soon. It was too interesting. Dale grimaced. I just don't know what the hell that was. The black guy nodded. I know, but we need help. It's hanging around here picking people off when they leave at night. If we keep people in when the sun goes down, we can save them. A moment later, Dale rubbed his neck with his left hand. Well, I can't force people to stay here. It's probably against the law, and I don't like forcing anyone to do things they don't want to do. Right. Time for me to step in. Hello. I'm a friend of Father Dominic. Dale looked at me and nodded. Yeah, he told me you'd be coming. Well, maybe since you're a cop, you could do something to help. He looked back at the black guy. Tell him what you told me, Peppy. Maybe he can help. Well, Peppy sized me up with his brown eyes. Well, you, wouldn't have any silver bullets or holy water, would you? What the hell? Is this some monster movie? Oh, I bet there's just a logical reason for what's going on. Bet some money on that. Well, not a whole lot. My pay grade wouldn't allow it. No, I'm here to find out what's going on. Peppy frowned. Well, you're going to end up like the other missing people. And for a moment I wanted to argue, but maybe that's not the way to go. Well, if you want to help, I'm here. Give me some proof, and if I can handle it, I can get others to help. Or you could just do nothing and have more people go missing. Well, that's kind of harsh, but I'm not going to be dismissed so lightly. Again, Peppy scanned me, and then he nodded. Maybe you're right. Come into my office and we'll talk. Dale laughed. I looked at Dale. Do you know what's going on? Well, he just shook his head. There were 2 times I heard the howl, or whatever it was. Both were last week when I left too late. It was dark outside. Sorry, can't help you with this, but if you need info on the guest here, and he's legal, then just ask. Oh, you can trust Peppy. He might be nuts, but he's good folks. Screw you, Dale, Peppy said, and then laughed. I followed Peppy to the back of the building. I was quite sure Peppy wasn't his real name, but whatever. We sat at a table that had a pack of cards on it. You know where this thing or person is? You remember where you encountered it? I asked. Peppy glanced away from me. Not a good sign. Either he was lying or maybe he didn't get a good look. Hey, I promised Father Dominic that I'd look into this problem. Fine. All I remember was I was running, and hearing the thing howling behind me. I knew better than to look back, Peppy said while his eyes looked out of the window. I followed his gaze. The sun was close to setting, and it was getting dark outside. Where'd you find the thing? Peppy sighed. Yeah, he was on board, although rather reluctantly. I'll show you where I thought I found the thing. You can take care of it while I head back, Peppy said. I nodded. Fair enough. What's going on? I hope my gun will work on it. That's crazy talk. Well, we left the shelter and walked down the block. It was quitting time, and folks streamed out of the buildings or stood and waited for buses or drove by us. One thing I noticed was that they were all hyper-vigilant, like it was enemy territory, and death was as close as the next breath. Oh, you see it, don't you? Peppy asked. Yeah, folks seem to be on alert here. Is it really that bad around here? I asked. Peppy nodded as we crossed the street. Word gets round. It's just a few more blocks from here, then I'll head back. At first, the buildings looked like well-maintained factories or office buildings, but as we crossed blocks, the area got more shabby and run down. Oh yeah, and we could see fewer people. We stopped next to a graffiti-covered metal fence. Peppy looked around. Yeah, this is as far as I go. Good luck, man. I could feel the relief in his voice, but he didn't have a gun. Well, enjoy your evening. Thanks, man. Something like a howl in the distance stopped Peppy. It sounded like it was distorted, like the sound was being run through some sort of cheap speakers. Well, I guess it was showtime. Damn. Peppy looked at me as fear crossed his face. Oh, no, man. I ain't doing that dance again. Bye. He turned and then stopped. What the hell? I looked behind me. What? The street we'd been walking on was gone. All we saw was a chain-link fence in front of a towering red brick building with shattered windows. No way! I've been keeping track of the streets and the landmarks before we got here. Where did that building come from? I turned and looked around, and a chill raced down my back. This is not good. Nothing seemed familiar. It's like we were picked up and dropped in a different area of the industrial zone, except we kept our eyes open all the time. There would have been some clue or something, right? Oh, shit. Ah, shit. It's happening again. Holy shit, we are... Peppy said as he swept his gaze all over the place. Hey, keep it together, man, I screamed. Oh, you clueless mother... Peppy started. Oh, don't bug out on me now, I interrupted. You survived this before. Right, which way now? For a few moments, Peppy just stood there gasping like a beached fish. Wondered if I'd have to slap him. Well, the last time I was drunk, so everything just blends together. I just remember streets and buildings. Luck or something else was with me, and I got out. This time I won't be so lucky. Oh man, I don't want to die here, Peppy screamed, and leaned against the fence. I looked around again, and picked out something wrong among the other messed up things. The sky, it was pitch black. No stars, no moon or anything. Another chill raced down my back. I've been out at night plenty of times, and this was not normal. To crank up the oh crap factor, the hairs on the back of my neck were bristling. And that happens when I'm being watched by someone or something. Might be a really good idea to pick from the smart actions list. We need to go somewhere and not stay on the street. Maybe we can figure things out indoors. Come on, I said. Let's go. Go? Go where? How do you know you're not walking into the wolf thing's lair? Peppy asked as his eyes flicked all over the place. I don't, but you want some cover or at least a wall at your back. Maybe we'll find the other missing people, I said as I pulled out my gun. Pepe just shook his head and then he got up. You good? He shook his head. Well, let's go anyway, I said as I walked down the silent street. After a few moments, or maybe hours, who knows, I really began to wonder more about this place. It was nothing but abandoned buildings and fences and, of course, cars that were more like rust buckets and flickering streetlights. Also, there were no side streets. That was also strange. I've checked a map of this area once, and it was only like 5 or 6 blocks of buildings in a grid pattern, and then the on-ramp to the freeway. I mean, what the hell? For a second, I had an image in my mind of a huge treadmill. New buildings were made in front, while the old buildings we couldn't see were destroyed. Reality crushed down to just 5 or 6 blocks. No, that's crazy talk. And I glanced behind me, and the scene there was unfamiliar. I mean, we were just there. Don't bother looking back. Just keep going forward, Peppy said while he walked on my left. Yep, we were in the Twilight Zone, and I wanted to punch Rod Serling in the face, hard. There had to be an exit somewhere. As if something heard my thoughts, we heard the howl again. It was a bit louder, like the thing was closer now. Hey, how about we pick up the pace? Yeah, maybe we can run it over and escape like we're in a cartoon, Pepe said, but he did start walking faster. Again, I looked around. There had to be a doorway or an entrance to these buildings somewhere. Again, I saw nothing but fencing. All I saw was rusty metal fences, chain link, faded brick or cement walls. Of course, none of them were climbable. They were either too tall or covered with razor wire whose edges gleamed sharp and dangerous. Well, actually, now I think about it, there were no openings to the fences that faced the street either. How do people get inside? Hey, wake up. Someone cut an opening in the fence over there, Pepe said and pointed across the street. What? I looked at the fence. It was rusty and some of the paint was peeling off, but Pepe was right. Down the block more buildings loomed. Well, I had to check. If this was the lair, why bother to show that there was more to this street? But then again, maybe there was nothing down the block. An illusion. Well, there was only one way to find out. Wait, there's another way. I jammed my right hand in my pocket and pulled out my phone. Maybe I could get some useful information from the map app. Nope, there were no bars. After a few moments, the screen faded to black. What the hell? I guess that's it then. Freaking tech, you can't trust it. Come on, Peppy said as he held the fence open. I ducked under the part that Peppy was holding and stepped past the fence. Another building with broken windows was in front of me. The concrete was cracked with dead weeds pushing through the cracks. There were no sounds other than the noises that we made. Near the roof was some sort of logo or name of the building in faded red, but I couldn't read it. Of course, there was no door facing us. I thought about smashing through a window, but maybe that might make too much noise. If someone had cut the fence, maybe they'd found an easier way in. Or maybe this was the lair of the howling thing, and any way in would work. One way to find out. Yeah, left or right? Peppy shrugged. We went left. There was a rusty metal door. When we got closer to it, I saw that the lock had been shot out. Or maybe the fence cutter had a gun. Have to be careful. Well, you ready? All right, like I have a choice, Peppy said. I almost wanted to reply that you always have a choice, but decided not to. I was surprised that the door opened without creaking, and we were in. Since there was light from outside from the street lamps, we didn't walk into total darkness. I pulled out my flashlight and swept it around. Dusty furniture and an equally dusty floor met my gaze. Footsteps in the thick dust led further into the room. I pointed at them and glanced at Peppy. He just nodded. We walked among the heaped junk until we found a staircase leading up. I hoped that the mystery person just stopped at the next floor, unless it was a trap. I glanced at Peppy. He pointed at his ear and then upstairs. A few moments later, I heard it too. Someone was pacing back and forth. It'd be a good idea to take this slow and easy. When we reached the landing, I could see rows of cracked cement pillars, and at the end of the room, some guy was facing us. And yeah, he had a gun in his right hand, but it was facing downwards. That's a good sign. Did you see it? Who are you guys? The man asked as his eyes scanned back and forward. He wore a plain navy blue suit and black shoes. No badge or ID on his suit. I raised my hand slowly. Yeah, I'm a cop, and this guy is helping me. The guy put his gun in his side holster. Hey, did you come to rescue me? I slowly shook my head and then brought my hands down. No, we, got sent or brought here by something. I took a quick glance at Peppy. He had his hands down already and was looking around. The man strode forward and stuck out his hand. My name's Vince McDonnell. I'm with the FBI. I walked forward and shook his hand. Ian Roberts, Browden PD. Peppy walked up. Yeah, I'm Peppy. Vince then reached into his jacket and showed me his ID. I showed him my badge. So, how did you get here? Vince shrugged. I was looking for a friend of mine. She'd been sending me emails about some weird stuff about missing employees. You know about BKT Holdings? BKT. That rang a vague bell. I remember that there was a fuss about a Japanese company buying up one of the abandoned industrial blocks, but that was several years ago. Yeah, didn't they buy up a block in the industrial area? Vince nodded. Yeah, for a while they were doing fine, then a few months ago people started disappearing, and she stopped answering my emails. So I decided to check things out myself. Heard some weird howl, and I was in this area. I tried to go back, but everything has changed. I glanced at Peppy, and he looked back. Vince scowled. What? You guys know something? I shook my head. We were investigating some missing homeless people from the shelter, and we ended up here, wherever this place is. Great. Maybe whatever brought us here is an aggressive bastard and will come for us soon. I don't want to die of thirst. There's no food or water. No rats or bugs either, Vince said as he swept his tired eyes around the area again. Something about that made me take a look around too. The cracked concrete pillars had changed to pink tile pillars, though they were also battered. Even the floor had changed. Now it was scuffed wooden tiles. He wasn't it. But a howl interrupted me. There was more distortion in it. It sounded closer, like a block away now. Peppy looked out the window. Check out the street. I looked out the windows. The buildings had changed to ruined factories. Huge holes had been blown into the walls. Quite sure they didn't look like that earlier. Vince took out his gun and flicked off the safety. You need to get ready. He didn't have to tell me twice. I pulled my backup gun from my leg holster and gave it to Peppy. Hey, you know how to use this? He nodded. Oh yeah, I went to a public school. The howling got louder, and the room went through a bunch of changes. I got queasy seeing the area twist and melt like ice cream in the blazing sun. I didn't want to do it, but I just had to close my eyes. There was a loud growl and then gunshots. I could feel something cold and heavy in front of me. You know, like something big was right in front, like a moving bus or a truck, and the wind from it that pushes you back. There were more gunshots and screams. Even though somehow I knew not to look closely, I just had to take a peek. Definitely shouldn't have done that. I partially opened my eyes and got quick flashes of black fur, darker than the night, red eyes brighter than flame, and other things that threatened to make me throw up what little food I had in my stomach. Gasping, I closed my eyes and fired away at where I guessed the thing was as hot, stinking breath blew in my face. I woke up in a bed, looking at white ceiling tiles. Was this heaven? A voice asked for Dr. Kirschen over an intercom. Yeah, it was, if heaven sounded like a hospital. I doubted that. Checked out my body. Other than a small bandage on my head, I seemed okay. Inside my head was a different story. What had happened? Are Peppy and Vince all right? How did I get here? I sat up and flinched. A guy in a brown suit sat in a chair across from my bed. Oh, how long has this guy been here? Wait, didn't my room change? I looked around again. My bed was next to a pale blue wall. On my left side was another wall, and my night table was on my left side of the bed. Typical hospital room setup. Oh, excuse me. I just need a bit of your time, and we can go on with our lives, the man said. I narrowed my eyes and looked at my visitor. The guy looked so average. Plain oatmeal would seem like an exotic dish next to him. Anyway, let's hear what he has to say. Who are you? Jacob Bryn. I work for clients that wish to remain anonymous. I propose an exchange. I need to know what happened to you, and maybe I can give you something to cure your ailment, he said in a quiet voice that had a bit of strength underneath it. Well, something else in the room had changed. I could feel it. Again, I looked around. Well, it seemed the same, but I still felt like everything had moved or changed in some subtle way while I wasn't looking. Maybe I should get a ruler and check the distances. Mr. Roberts, the faster we discuss what happened, the sooner you can get your cure, Bryn said. Well, why don't you give me the cure now? I asked. Bryn shook his head. I need to be sure about the nature of your symptoms and what infected you. Something about that sounded kind of fishy. I'm in hospital. The docs and nurses here probably checked me out and know my situation. And the room seemed to change again, but I kept my focus on Bryn, if only barely. Bryn sighed. Yes, I've checked your records. You're in very good shape considering what you went through. But this hospital is woefully inadequate in handling certain maladies. They're planning on releasing you either today or tomorrow, depending on how the paperwork goes. But if you leave without a proper cure, you won't live to see next weekend. Is that a threat? I asked as I looked around again to check if my room had changed. Of course it did, but I had to look closer. Mr. Roberts, let's discuss what happened. I've seen many strange things and would believe you. Again, if you answer my questions, you can be cured. Your situation, if not dealt with, will prove too much of a psychic burden for you to handle, Bryn said. Hey, you do realize I'm a homicide cop? I asked. Oh, what is this guy's deal? Then again, I did want to know what the hell was going on. Bryn nodded. You don't want to be dealing with this along with your caseload and your personal life. The room changed again. I ignored it, but I was wondering where I could get a ruler or a tape measure. Will I be acting this squirrely when I get home? Fine. What do you need to know? Oh, please tell me what happened, Bryn said, and then he leaned forward. And so for the next few minutes or more, I told him what happened. Bryn listened and just nodded his head. When I finished and had barely managed not to check my room for changes, Bryn spoke. Well, it seems that this area was affected by a werewolf. Werewolf? Aren't those fictional? You need silver bullets or something to kill them? I asked. My earlier thought about monster movies came back to haunt me. No, not a werewolf, which is like a shapeshifter. A werewolf is quite the different threat. It's not really a wolf. It's a creature that takes people away to a pocket dimension and tortures them by showing them disquieting places before feeding. Somehow, we don't know why, it thinks that people fear wolves and uses that to frighten them, Bryn said, like this was a college lecture, all dry and didactic. Oh, where does it come from? What is it really? How did I end up here? I asked, while trying not to check out my changed room. My room isn't really changing. It's my mind that's playing tricks on me. Or maybe Bryn is right. I won't last long if I have to worry about the changes in any room I'm in. Well, we don't know where it comes from, and we know little about the creature other than what we find of the victims. The few we find, that is. Now, you're a special case. One of a very select group that have escaped, and have caused damage to the creature, Bryn said. Really? Bryn nodded. Some commuters saw you and 2 piles of bloody clothing just appear next to the freeway a few days ago. How many days? My stomach dropped a little. I could guess who the clothing belonged to. Well, I hoped I was wrong. 4 days, and preliminary forensic results were very interesting. You were covered with blood from 4 sources. One was from a small gash on your head. Another sample was from an FBI agent, McDonald. The last of the identified samples was Martin Cheswick, a.k.a. Peppy. There was also some blood that was from an unidentified source, Bryn said. Damn. Both of them didn't deserve that kind of death. Poor Peppy. Yeah, it was his choice and he chose to help me, but I still felt responsible for his death. Well, I've got to focus on what's going on now, and not the fact my room is still changing. What was the unidentified blood from? Is it dead? I asked. I didn't want to deal with something like this ever again. Bryn smiled. I think it was from the werewolf. As far as it being dead, well, we don't know. But those who have survived never encounter the creature again. Hopefully that will give you some comfort. He glanced at his watch. Now that we know what you fought, I can give you the right cure. Bryn handed me a silvery packet and a business card from a pocket in his suit. Please take your medicine now. Don't worry, it won't show up on any tests, or interact with any medicine they may have you on. I looked at the packet. It didn't have any markings on it. For a moment, I thought that maybe Bryn was going to try and poison me. But when I felt that my room had just changed again, I tore open the packet and choked down the pill inside. I took 2 glasses of tepid water before it stopped feeling like a big lump in my throat. And then I looked up, and he was gone. What the hell? I lay back in bed and waited for a doctor or a nurse. Well, at least my room had stopped changing. Oh my god, what the hell was all that about? Well, sometimes a title just gets you and you think, well, I've got to give this one a chance. Give this one a read and see if you all enjoy it as much as I did. That was truly bizarre, and a very interesting take on the concept of werewolves, as in, where are they, not where. Oh yeah, I like that one, so hope that was as much fun for you as it was for me. Lots of calls on messages everywhere about the other werewolf series that I've long since neglected, and it's in my head, the plan's there to get the last couple of bits done, even though it's been about a year now since I last did it. So, sorry. Bear with me, it's coming soon, I promise. Well, that is enough for your Monday evening's entertainment, isn't it? See you all again on Wednesday. Till then, my dear friends, very, very sweet dreams, and bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams, and bye-bye.